So good morning all and welcome to the Global Green Growth Institute's Eastern Caribbean Greenpreneurs Project launch. I would like to, first of all, take the time to thank you for taking time off during your day, especially this morning, to attend this launch activity. It intends to give a background of the program or project initiative being developed, implemented through the Global Green Growth Institute in partnership with the Organization of the Eastern Caribbean States Commission, the Youth Climate Lab, and the Cater Fund for Development. Let me take this opportunity to recognize the following panelists who will form part of today's proceedings. My name is Karim Geest, head of the Competitive Business Unit within the Economic Affairs and Regional Integration Division at the OECS Commission. Mr. Cosbert Woods, Senior Trade Specialist in the Economic Affairs and Regional Integration Division at the OECS Commission. Dr. Kristen Thiessen, Green Growth Global Institute, Caribbean Representative. Laura John, Program Officer within the Global Green Growth Institute. Jody Dublin-Dangoben, our keynote speaker and CEO and founder of JD's Naturals. Daria Poet, Administrative Associate with the Green Globe Growth Institute. Will Joseph, Project Assistant with the Competitive Business Unit within the Economic Affairs and Regional Integration Division at the OECS Commission. Donna Altenas, Senior Administrative Assistant within the Competitive Business Unit, Economic Integration Development Division at the OECS Commission. I would also like to recognize, while they're not present here today physically with us, the Director General of the Organization of the Eastern Caribbean States Commission, His Excellency Dr. Dedicus Jules, the Director General of the Global Green Growth Institute, Dr. Frank Reiselman, our funding partner, the Cater Fund for Development, Kwesi Roberts, Project Lead and Technical Specialist for Entrepreneurship and Development at the Competitive Business Unit within the Economic Affairs and Regional Integration Division at the OECS Commission. We have a very tight and packed agenda for you today. We intend not to waste your time, but to keep the agenda moving and flowing. So without further ado, let me recognize again Mr. Cosbert Woods and invite him to give welcome remarks on behalf of our Director of Economic Affairs and Regional Integration Division at the OECS. Woods, please.
Thank you very much, Karim, and good morning to everyone. Please allow me to recognize the protocol already established by Karim. And on behalf of Mrs. Jacqueline Emmanuel Flood, the Director of the Economic Affairs and Regional Integration Division, who is unable to be here with us today, I am pleased to deliver welcome remarks at the launch of this significant initiative to support green entrepreneurship in the OECS region. I take this opportunity to recognize and thank the Global Green Growth Institute, the Cater Fund for Development, and the Youth Climate Lab for partnering with the OECS Commission on this exciting project. The keen collaboration of all the stakeholders has made this project a reality, and we look forward to its implementation and the resulting benefits to member states. This project is timely since it can go a long way in supporting startups to develop business models which build resilience and strengthen our COVID recovery efforts towards economic sustainability. We recognize that MSMEs are a significant contributor to the economies of the OECS region. Recent estimates from the Caribbean Development Bank and the World Bank suggest that MSMEs account for the majority of the private enterprises in the Caribbean and contribute approximately 50% to the GDP and employment within the region. The pandemic has definitely highlighted the need for a more dynamic and robust SME sector, and we believe that this project is well suited to assist in this regard. In 2020, the OECS Economic Affairs and Regional Integration Division published a study entitled COVID-19 and Beyond, which focused on the impacts of the pandemic on OECS economies. Against this background of this report, this partnership amongst the GGGI, Qatar Fund for Development, and the OECS Commission provides the pivot for needed interventions within the MSME space. Of key importance to the region is the revitalization of agriculture, manufacturing, and tourism sectors. These efforts must certainly be supported by capacity building initiatives like this Green Entrepreneurship Program, which focuses not only on firm level interventions, but also on those at the national institutional level towards strengthening the ecosystem for green innovation. The implementation arrangements of this program, which include national business support organizations, government ministries, the OECS Commission, and other stakeholders, such as those in attendance today, will be the epicenter for strong partnerships. We truly appreciate your presence today and certainly look forward to your participation. The Economic Affairs and Regional Integration team, in particular our competitive business unit, is fully supportive of this project because it embraces the cooperative mandate of our OECS Commission, as well as fosters the type of collaboration required for continuance of the regional integration movement. Our 6-year strategic plan is rooted in the quest to develop and sustain innovative solutions towards reinventing our economies, adding value to our environment and youth development. I once again offer sincere thanks to our partners and stakeholders for the collaboration and support thus far, and we look forward to the project's success in the form of a stronger ecosystem for green entrepreneurship in the OECS region. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Woods, for that kind welcome and obviously positioning the project development implementation for our member states. I would like to take the opportunity to recognize our colleague, Ricardo James, Senior Technical Specialist, Business, Environment, and Export Development at the Competitive Business Unit within the Economic Affairs and Regional Integration Division of the OECS Commission. It now gives me a great pleasure to invite Dr. Christine Deason, Green Growth Global Institute Caribbean representative, to give us her welcome remarks and of the project. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Kareem. Pearl, I don't have any slides for this section, so no need to share the screen. So thank you, Kareem, and thank you very much, Cuthbert. I think that was a terrific introduction to our initiative. I want to say good morning to everyone who's joining us today. Thank you so much for joining for the launch of the Eastern Caribbean Green Entrepreneurship Initiative, or Eastern Caribbean Greenpreneurs for short. My name is Kristen Deason, and I am the regional representative for GGGI in the OECS region. We are really excited to bring this program to the region, and we will be telling you more about the details of the program in a few minutes. But before we get to that, I wanted to share a bit of background information about GGGI and about the history of the Greenpreneurs program. So for those who may not be familiar with our organization, GGGI is the Global Green Growth Institute. We are an international intergovernmental organization based in South Korea. We are focused on working with the governments of developing countries to promote environmentally sustainable and inclusive economic growth. We operate on a membership basis, and we currently have 39 members. 38 of these members are individual countries, and the other one is OECS, the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. OECS became our first regional organization member in 2019. And since then, GGGI has been working in coordination with the OECS Commission to bring the benefit of GGGI membership to the region, where we have an office in St. Lucia at OECS Commission headquarters. GGGI is now working with the OECS Commission on a number of regional projects related to green growth, as well as working bilaterally with several OECS member states on projects at the national level. Our current focus in the region is on climate change, climate finance, renewable energy, and of course, green entrepreneurship, which we believe is a key focus area for the region in order to engage the private sector in helping to accelerate green growth and job creation as we address the parallel challenges of vulnerability to climate change and the economic effects of the COVID pandemic. As some of you may know, although the program we're launching today is GGI's first entrepreneurship program in the Caribbean region, it is not the first entrepreneurship program that GGI has run. The Global Greenpreneurs Program was conceived in 2018 by GGI along with two other organizations, Youth Climate Lab and Student Energy, with the goal of supporting young people in developing sustainable ideas and solutions that would positively impact their communities and contribute to meeting the Sustainable Development Goals, in addition to supporting climate action and a sustainable energy transition. This program, the Global Greenpreneurs Program, was open to green entrepreneurs from anywhere in the world and consisted of a 12-week virtual training program with mentorship and a business plan competition. It has now run for 4 consecutive years with resounding success. In fact, this past year, we had over 180 applications for only 15 slots in the program. As a response to this clear demand for support to green entrepreneurs, GGI has initiated a number of spin-off greenpreneurs programs in our member countries and regions in order to increase the number of people that our programs are able to reach and in order to offer more customized support for entrepreneurs that is tailored to the particular circumstances and the local context of the region or country. So the unique nature of the program we are launching today is twofold. First, the focus on the 6 independent countries of the OECS will allow us to tailor the content of our incubator and accelerator programs to the specific challenges that entrepreneurs in these small countries face. And secondly, our focus on green, inclusive businesses that are built around making an impact as well as a profit. One thing we have learned from our earlier programs is the importance of providing financing as well as mentorship in addition to training. So I'm pleased to announce that our Eastern Caribbean Greenpreneurs Program will include a strong mentorship program as well as nearly $1.3 million in grant and no interest loan funding for green businesses in the Eastern Caribbean region. With that, I would like to thank our partner organizations, the OECS Commission and Student Youth Climate Lab, our donor, the Qatar Fund for Development, as well as the government officials, business support organizations, and others who provided very valuable inputs as we shaped our program earlier this year. Your inputs are very much appreciated, and our program would not be as impactful without them. In closing, I just want to say that we are very much looking forward to meeting the innovative, motivated, and passionate greenpreneurs in the Eastern Caribbean region. We know you are out there, and we can't wait to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor, for your kind words of welcome and giving us a little bit of background as to how the program would impact our Eastern Caribbean member states and what role our partners would have to play within the framework of this development program. Laura John, who is the program officer at the Green Growth Global Institute, will give us a deepened sense of the program overview, which will impact our MSMEs across the member states. Laura, over to you.
Thank you, Kareem, for the introduction. Can everyone see my screen? Yes, okay, great. Adopting the protocol already established, I would like to introduce myself once again. My name is Laura John, and I am the Program Officer for the Eastern Caribbean Green Entrepreneurship Initiative being launched this morning. So first, I will introduce the structure of the program. This initiative consists of 3 components. We have an incubator program, an accelerator program, and an entrepreneurship ecosystem. Together, they create the Eastern Caribbean Green Entrepreneurship Initiative. Before I get into each component and share more details about what they entail, I first want to define what we consider to be a green entrepreneur or a green business. Green entrepreneurship and green enterprises are purpose-driven businesses and entrepreneurs who are actively seeking to address social and/or environmental issues with the products and services that they deliver through their businesses, while also unapologetically building wealth. The work that we do is often considered that of the third sector, the nonprofits, because we're putting people and planet at the center of what we do, which oftentimes runs differently from our business as usual model, which seeks to put profit at the center. So green entrepreneurship, as embraced by GGI, as well as by our donor, the Qatar Fund for Development, and the OECS Commission, is rejecting this notion of the traditional business as usual model and saying that we can do it better and we can put profit and people and planet at the center of the work that we do. And by being so purpose-driven, we're actually setting the stage for an entirely new economic, social, and environmental landscape, not just for our local communities and our regions, but internationally. In a space and time of a climate crisis, where countries are working towards achieving national development goals, climate goals, sustainability goals, this is a shift that has been long overdue and the world is now embracing. And GGI is excited to be at the forefront of actually providing opportunities for entrepreneurs, even like myself, because I am a green entrepreneur, to actually get the support that we need to be able to propel our businesses forward and show that we can be successful and we can be sustainable and we can provide sustainable livelihoods for the people in our communities, as well as be protectors of our environment. And just to give you a few examples of what that means, in terms of actual businesses, both here in the Caribbean, as well as in the Pacific Islands, for example, who are also small island developing states and struggling with a lot of the same challenges and hazards that we as in the Eastern Caribbean region face, would include businesses that are addressing, for instance, the influx of sargassum seaweed and producing biofertilizer. And we know how the sargassum seaweed is devastating our fisheries sector. We have the use of solar dehydration for food to reduce food waste. We have businesses that are looking at transitioning to zero emissions transportation by having electric bike rentals, for example. We have farmers who are using agricultural waste to create coals. And with my business, Jouak Ali Limited, we're actually looking at recovering recyclable materials and using these as inputs into other products and supporting other industry. So there's no shortage of entrepreneurs and businesses that are already green and that are already moving in this direction. And so it is important that we actually support them. And this is the work that GGI, in partnership with the OECS and through our donor, we're looking to support in the Eastern Caribbean region. One key component of this initiative is ensuring that we actually support the development of an entrepreneurial ecosystem. So that is to say, it is not sufficient to simply provide funding, for example, to an entrepreneur or a green business, but we recognize that we need to actually invest in building the capacity of business support organizations that provide key services and programs and training to entrepreneurs to enable them to be sustainable and to grow and scale and be profitable. So we are looking to actually create the necessary linkages with the key stakeholders within the Eastern Caribbean region and ensure that we're creating a net to continue supporting the entrepreneurs, the green entrepreneurs and green businesses, even beyond the life of this program. And just to let you know, because I don't think I mentioned this detail at the beginning, the Green Entrepreneurship Initiative is actually a 3-year program. And so this is why we're making the investment in establishing the ecosystem, is to ensure that beyond the life of this project, we still have put the building blocks in place to continue supporting our entrepreneurs. The second component is an accelerator program. Here we are specifically targeting high growth potential green businesses. So these are already established enterprises that are showing a lot of potential for scaling, but require investment. And so our goal here is to provide investment and matching with an online data room, which investors will have access to, providing networking and pitch events where business owners can actually connect with potential investors, and also providing an opportunity for green businesses to secure up to $50,000 US in interest-free loans. So this program hasn't been launched yet, but it will be soon. So if you are a business at that growth stage, please keep tabs, connect with us, join our mailing list, because we will be launching this program soon and you won't want to miss out on this opportunity. The third and final component is our Incubator Program. And this is targeting early stage entrepreneurs and businesses. We're focusing on green entrepreneurs who may just have an idea about a green business that they would like to start, as well as entrepreneurs who may have already launched a startup, but they're still in the very early days of establishing this green enterprise. The Incubator Program is here to support you. It is a 12-week virtual training program that will consist of weekly webinars where we will do training modules that follow the Lean Canvas methodology. We will also be providing you with a mentor. So we will be matching participants with an actual mentor who can provide valuable guidance and advice throughout the program. You will have access to networking events, as well as culminating in a pitch competition where you'll have an opportunity to secure up to $10,000 US in grant funding. So we are actually launching the Incubator Program today. And as you can see, the application forms are available at the website. So please take note. We'll also be sharing the links to the application forms in our chat. So be sure to look out for it there. In addition to the Incubator Program, as I mentioned, one of the key components is the mentorship aspect. And so we are also launching a call for applications for persons, professionals who are interested in providing that role of guider and advisor to green entrepreneurs. As I mentioned previously, the actual structure of the Incubator Program consists of the weekly webinars where we're doing the training modules. You will have weekly assignments as well as mentoring sessions and one-on-one coaching. So entrepreneurs, you will be provided with a lot of support to help you build your business plan and move from just your green idea or the early stages of your business to actually a plan for a sustainable and successful enterprise. So how can you apply for the Incubator Program? Well, the link is there, so please take note of that. But the application window is 30 days long. So launching today, July 27th until August 26th, you have the opportunity to submit your application. In terms of eligibility criteria, there are few key things that you need to ensure that you are eligible, and that would be ensuring that your idea or business has a green focus, that the intention is to be for profit, that your business is based in a participating OECS member country, that it is either based or intended to be based, just to clarify, that the lead applicant is a citizen of a participating OECS member country, and that you are over the age of 18. The participating OECS member countries include Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and St. Kitts. Once we've received your application, we will have a selection panel that will score and rank applications according to a predetermined assessment criteria. And based on your score, we will select the final number of participants for the program. Both successful and unsuccessful applicants will be notified by the end of September as to their status in terms of participation in the program. And by the end of September, we will also have an orientation session to then kick off the Incubator Program starting early October. The Incubator Program will actually will go from October 2021 until January 2022, noting that there's a Christmas break in between. As mentioned earlier, the mentorship program is also launching today, as we are seeking to establish a pool of driven professionals who are passionate about helping green entrepreneurs develop their business ideas and help make it become a reality. So the application window is actually the same, 30 days from today, July 27th until August 26th. We expect that as mentors, you are willing to volunteer your time, and that time would include 4.5 hours, a minimum of 4.5 hours of direct contact with your mentee. As a mentor, you would be expected to facilitate networking opportunities, as well as be willing to share your experience and your knowledge with your mentees. Our selection process will be heavily based on actually matching our mentors with our applicants for the Incubator Program based on experience and interests. We want to ensure that the mentees can get the most out of this relationship with the mentor. And as indicated, the mentorship application forms are now available. We'll be sharing the link in the chat as well. So please check that out. And that's it for my presentation. I will say, if you do have any questions, please use the Q&A tab and type them there, and we'll be sure to answer them during our question and answer session later on in the program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Laura, for this at least detailed background on the project plan, project implementation, opportunities for application and related forms. I think there is quite a bit of conversation ongoing in the messaging box. So a lot of persons are interested in getting a lot detail. So what we will do is, again, just to remind you that you can share your questions or comments within our messaging dialog box, and our team will look at it and be able to correspond with you either through the messaging box, if it's a very easy question to understand, or if it is one that requires a little bit more detail in presentation. During our Q&A session, we will invite the questions and answers. While it's not present here, the Director General of the GGGI group wanted to send his thoughts and remarks over a virtual space, and therefore just bear with me. I will introduce a video.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of GGGI, I would like to warmly welcome you to this launch event for the Eastern Caribbean Green Entrepreneurship Initiative, hosted jointly with our partners, the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, the Qatar Fund for Development, and Youth Climate Lab. GGGI champions green growth in our member countries, that is, economic growth that is environmentally sustainable and socially inclusive. And at this time, when the world is struggling with a host of intertwined sustainability challenges, not least recovering from the COVID crisis and building resilience to deal with the climate crisis, the top priority for our government partners is to create employment opportunities. GGGI has worked on green jobs, jobs in green sectors from renewable energy to circular economy to climate smart agriculture for years now. And we have shown that green investments can be much more effective in creating jobs than their brown or fossil fuel intensive alternatives. We just completed drafting a report, for example, that estimates that in 27 GGGI member developing and emerging economies, renewable energy investments can create some 10 to 50 green jobs per $1 million invested. Investments in forestry related projects could generate an even higher 300 to 600 job years per $1 million invested. So investing in green makes general macroeconomic sense, therefore. But we also recognize that a large majority of new jobs in developing and emerging economies are created by micro, small, and medium enterprises. Such private sector, small startup enterprises are the engine of innovation and will be at the heart of a green transition. That is why GGGI, together with our partners, Student Energy and Youth Climate Lab, initiated the Global Greenpreneur Business Plan Competition, specifically targeting potential young green entrepreneurs in developing countries. That program is now in its very successful 4th year, and it has led to a number of spin-off projects focusing on green innovation and entrepreneurship throughout the network of GGGI's more than 30 country programs from Cambodia to Colombia. I'm very pleased that today we're able to launch the Eastern Caribbean Green Entrepreneurship Initiative as one of those spin-off projects. We are grateful that the Qatar Fund for Development recognized the potential and importance of such green entrepreneurship programs to deal with both building back better and climate change adaptation, and welcomed GGGI's proposal, developed in close collaboration with the OECS. And we are pleased that Youth Climate Lab, one of our partners in the Global Greenpreneur Program, will also partner in this Caribbean regional program. We are very excited to have, through this program, an opportunity to run business plan competitions in 6 countries in the Eastern Caribbean, but to also follow this up with accelerator programs to continue support for successful entrepreneurs in their journey to building businesses that will generate green jobs and be part of the innovation that drives a green transition. The final step in the program will be to provide financial resources for growth to the most promising small businesses at a stage where it's still hard or even impossible to get access to commercial financing from banks or investors. GGGI as an intergovernmental organization, recognizes that governments play a critical role, but need to work closely with the private sector. Governments can set policies and provide public finance, but the bulk of the financing for the green transformation will have to come from the private sector. That will also require many existing businesses to reflect on how they can green their operations, reduce their emissions, and contribute to sustainability more generally. But it will certainly need a new generation of entrepreneurs that will initiate and develop new green businesses that will be the heart of tomorrow's green growth economy. Through this Eastern Caribbean Green Entrepreneurship Initiative, we look forward to working closely with our partners to support such a new generation of budding green entrepreneurs to help them realize their dreams and jointly build a more sustainable future for us all. So let me end with a call to action to all people with the ideas and drive to start a green new business. Apply to join the Eastern Caribbean Greenpreneurs Incubator Program. I thank you all and wish you a very successful launch event.
Moderator and Head of the OECS Competitive Business Unit, Mr. Karim Gies. Director General GGGI, Dr. Frank Rijboman. Distinguished Representative of the Qatar Fund for Development. Our distinguished feature speaker, Ms. Jody Dublin Dangleben. Director of Economic Affairs and Regional Integration, Mrs. Jacqueline Emmanuel Flood. Caribbean Representative GGGI, Dr. Christine Deason. Caribbean Program Officer GGGI, Ms. Laura John. Development partners, esteemed guests. I am delighted to deliver these remarks at the launch of this important initiative to accelerate our efforts at becoming more resilient, agile, and sustainable societies in an increasingly volatile and disruptive global environment. I take this opportunity to recognize and thank the Global Green Growth Institute and the Qatar Fund for Development and the Youth Climate Lab for partnering with the OECS Commission on this important initiative that has the potential to positively impact the lives of entrepreneurs across our region. This project is very significant because it addresses key areas of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Some of these goals, such as affordable and clean energy, sustainable communities, industry, innovation, and economic growth, present opportunities for small island developing states to build resilience in a dynamic environment characterized by the ongoing impacts of COVID-19. Notwithstanding these challenges on our small island developing states, for example, those related to climate change and the more recent impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, we remain optimistic and proactive as we foster strong cooperative partnerships with institutions like GGGI and the Qatar Fund for Development to facilitate these timely opportunities for stimulating innovation to trigger the transformation of our economies. We recognize that MSMEs are a significant contributor to their respective national economies and have the potential to increase their operational capacity for sustainable development and sustainable growth across all sectors. This Green Entrepreneurship Initiative is also timely because it aligns with the vision and the goals of the OECS and will serve as an important tool in confronting some of the existential threats facing our region. Importantly, the project aligns with three of the OECS's strategic priorities: accelerating regional integration, reinventing the economy while valuing the environment, and protecting the vulnerable and empowering youth. As the region evolves within this new global reality, growth, poverty reduction, preservation of livelihoods, and sustainable development have become more important reasons for ensuring that our entrepreneurship drive is heightened and sustained. When we speak about sustainability, it is important for the private sector to be at the forefront of this conversation. Our regional private sector has and continues to play an important role in embracing and championing the triple bottom line approach to sustainable development, which considers people, profits, planet. This concept, which the Harvard Business Review describes as a commitment of firms to measuring their social and environmental impact in addition to their financial performance, is critical and relevant as we forge ahead in this chapter of our civilization. This philosophy puts people, profit, and the planet at the epicenter of business sustainability. A project like this signals the dawn of a new era that takes us one step closer to economic reinvention and resilience. As we look forward to the implementation of this project and other related initiatives financed and supported by our cooperating partners, I want to encourage every one of us to join our Sustainable Development Movement, the SDM. Let me further reinforce the need for broad stakeholder participation in this initiative as we ask every citizen to come along on this journey towards developing and strengthening the regional green business ecosystem. The OECS's desire is to see an expanded ecosystem which influences excellence in development and operational strength. At the OECS, we continue to do our part towards strengthening that regional ecosystem to create the enabling environment where entrepreneurs can take advantage of every opportunity by using their creative and innovative abilities to develop products and services which will meet the demand of tomorrow and the future. As the participants go through this program, I encourage you to always strive for excellence and benchmark your performance against global best practices. The Commission is elated to have partners such as the Global Green Growth Institute, the GGGI, and the Qatar Fund for Development, who are committed to creating opportunities like these in the OECS. This year, as we reflect on our journey of 40 years of regional integration, we have noted that solid partnerships and cooperation have been a cornerstone of our progress to date. Our shared struggle and functional cooperation efforts are supporting the consolidation of the economic union to address many of the sustainability challenges that lie ahead. The very ethos of our vision towards sustainable development is enshrined in Article 1 of the revised Treaty of Bastille, which speaks to, and I quote, advancing balance and sustainable economic and social progress and cohesion. End of quote. These cannot be accepted as mere words imprinted on paper, but must be embraced through the actions that we take to drive the necessary changes in policy and operations in order to achieve a better future. As I close, I would like to leave you with the words of Prime Minister Skerrit from his 2017 address to the United Nations in the aftermath of the destruction of Dominica from the impact of Hurricane Maria. And I quote, "We as a region did not start this war against nature. We did not provoke it. The war has come to us. As a result, we are left with no choice but to confront this threat with decisive and strategic interventions." End of quote. With that being said, I urge all existing and potential entrepreneurs, mentors, policymakers, and stakeholders to get on board in this important initiative. I am delighted to be here today participating in this launch activity for what can be described as a project with significant expectations towards critical development outcomes for our member states. On behalf of the OECS Commission, I thank our cooperative partners, our stakeholders across all member states, and I encourage everyone to join hands to support the movement for green entrepreneurship in the OECS and the wider Caribbean.
Thank you, Dr. Didicus-Jules. We're now moving nicely along our program. is about to introduce you to our keynote speaker. But then I wish to give you a quick background to Julie's expertise as our keynote. So engineer, musician, entrepreneur, motivational speaker, mom, wife, and natural hair guru, Jodie Dublin Dangleben is a civil and environmental engineer by day and a jail of trades at night. She is a creative and innovative soul and heart and has a unique knack for creative masterpieces from her hands, from her intriguing hairstyles and hair accessories to her addictive hair crack, whipped shea butter. At UE, Jodie served as a PRO of the Dominican Student Association, deputy block representative, sports captain at the Milner Hall of Residence, and was awarded Hall valedictorian in 2008. While at UE, she interned at the Soils and Materials Lab during her summer holidays. In 2015, she received one of the very first 767 Girls Rock Awards for her creative and accomplishments as one of the few female engineers in a male-dominated field in Dominica. And in 2016, a recognition award from her alma mater, the Convent High School, for her invaluable contribution to empowering the Dominican community. In 2018, Jodie was valedictorian of the Women Innovators Network in the Caribbean Program. She holds a diploma in entrepreneurship and innovation, in photovoltaic systems, solar panels, installation, and serves on the credit committee at the National Cooperative Credit Union, the NCCU. She is also the public relations officer for the Dominica Health and Wellness Association. It's me therefore a great pleasure to welcome Jodie to the virtual podium to address us today.
Good morning, everybody. And give me a minute to share my presentation. Acknowledging and adopting the protocol established already, I am Jodie Dangleben, the CEO of JD's Naturals, a Dominican company that marries local Dominican and Caribbean remedial and indigenous herbal remedies with modern cosmetic formulation to create natural, unique, effective hair, skin, and household products. I am here today to tell you that the future of business is green, and this is why. Entrepreneurship and owning a successful small business is no walk in the park. It requires buckets of hard work and preparation. Starting off a business is always a challenge, regardless of location. However, the challenge is even more greatly amplified in our Caribbean setting. So we as entrepreneurs now need to be creative rather than just adaptive if we are to remain dynamic in this global sphere. Climate change is real. Here in the Caribbean, we have unfortunately bore witness to its manifestation through erratic weather events, more frequent and intense rainstorms and hurricanes, and long bouts of dry weather spells. The past few years have been particularly unforgiving. Extraordinary flooding in Grenada and St. Vincent this past month, and powerful hurricanes never seen before. The OECS islands share a common enemy, the multidimensional vulnerability to climate change and natural disasters. The frequency of these disasters in this region means that recovery can take years, as experienced by Dominica and Antigua and Barbuda in 2017, following the passages of Hurricane Maria and Irma. So, So in the Caribbean, as a business owner, you can have a perfect business plan, a flawless marketing campaign, and a rock-solid team of superstar employees. But the unexpected can happen. damage and disruption to utility, transportation lifelines, the disruption of importing raw materials, loss of your storefront, inability of employers to clock into work, contributes significantly to business interruption and subsequent financial losses. Our forests are under stress, our oceans under great pressure, and every day we see how unsustainable practices exacerbate these even more. The evidence has never been clearer. And even some businesses are not affected directly. The effects of climate change can take out your supply chain or partially incapacitate a vendor. This rang true for me during the passage of Hurricane Maria in 2017, which left my business, JD's Naturals, inoperable for an entire year. These new challenges, however, can trigger entrepreneurial intentions to turn inconveniences into opportunities. This is where responsibility, sustainability, creativity, innovation, and climate resiliency, the new watchwords and phrases of the day, come into play. This allows us a unique opportunity to thrust the environmental thrift into the mainstream as we learn to live within our new environmental climate. We can only achieve this, though, if we stop treating the environment like an afterthought. Entrepreneurship is at the heart of sustainable growth, and in that sense, it is at the heart of sustainable development. And so we now must show that consumer, business, and green interests are the same. We have a corporate responsibility now as business owners to give people options to make more sustainable choices where the benefits of going green are clear. That realization sunk in quite early in my personal life and from my business's inception through some green policies that I incorporated into its daily operation. These policies were really essential steps toward the reduction of my business's carbon footprint, the emissions from producing my products, and its handprints, the emissions from the sales and use of my products. And JD's Naturals only uses natural ingredients, and we try to source local raw materials as our first option. I have learned a few key things along my journey. That one, we do not have to take an over-the-top, grand, heroic schemes to participate in change, no. Our minute eco-friendly actions within our businesses, when multiplied by millions, can indeed transform the world. And one way is through recycling. It is said that the most sustainable way is to not make things. And you may be thinking to yourself, what rubbish is she talking about? But it's exactly that. We can recycle rubbish and discarded items and use them as raw materials. I have used biodegradable packaging for some of my products. I have also used discarded boxes from grocery stores, shredded paper from my office to ship out products. And I also encourage customers to bring in their used bottles to refill. Another policy I've incorporated is the greening of our premises and our manufacturing process. With the ongoing construction of my JD's Naturals lab, I am exploring different options for reducing my business's carbon footprint through various energy efficient methods. I intend eventually to use solar energy to power the lab, and I have already constructed a cistern to harvest rainwater. Most of our processes require no heat or freezing activities, and so no energy is expended. Our herbal macerations to produce our oils and the drying of our flowers and herbs and leaves are done from direct solar heat. We are now finding more innovative ways to reduce the waste created by our business by reducing packaging and, in some cases, eliminating them altogether. This idea even won me first place at a recent Green Summit here in Dominica, where I pitched my package-free shampoo bars. All these green policies within my business structure lend to the global fight against climate change by reducing the use of non-biodegradable items, which eventually end in our landfills, oceans, and reducing processes that contribute to methane gas emissions. I have found, though, that to be truly sustainable, companies must also have a positive impact on the communities around them and create more awareness for global problems. To this end, I have embarked on educational schemes within my business to bring about much awareness to the cause through educational workshops, my social media pages, and JD's Naturals YouTube page. My business's green actions also directly contribute to some of the sustainable development goals. For example, JD's Naturals only demands organic produce from farmers. They now are forced to learn and develop new sustainable techniques which will protect our rivers and waterways from leaching of chemical fertilizers from their farmlands. So we green entrepreneurs deliver the source for beginning and sustaining a green economy by serving green products and services, presenting green production techniques, enhancing the demand for them, and building greener jobs. These actions have allowed me to reduce costs, increase my return on investments, reduce the dependency on uncontrollable costs, while safeguarding our environment for future generations. While greening our lifestyles and decarbonizing our economy might be the right thing to do, for millions of people, especially business owners, it does not always feel like the easy thing to do. Implementing my green business policies was not a piece of cake. I have had challenges from lack of resources, lack of financing, consumer unawareness, and at times, inadequate planning on my part. I only wish that this incubator program would have been available when I was starting off my own business. I had to navigate and learn on my own, but my ability to train my mind and think of every problem as a possible opportunity is what has propelled my business on the path to success. Programs like these, though, make it easier for us by arming us with the knowledge, the know-how, the mentorship and networking that we need. I have realized that green creativity and innovation is an important factor in sustainable development, and that it can offer a competitive advantage for my business. Some business owners have an innate knack to think creatively, but do not despair if you do not fit in this pool. There are numerous opportunities that foster innovation and design thinking, and this incubator program gives you that opportunity. We are entering an all-defining new time for sustainable practices, green businesses, and sustainable living. Therefore, our unending quest of achieving the sustainable goals we have set for our countries cannot be achieved without placing our small businesses amongst our efforts. No one is immune from the effects of climate change and natural disasters, no one. But all of us can prepare for them so that the impact is limited. Entrepreneurs have a lot to lose when these occur, and not being ready ensures that the devastation takes on new proportions. Planning ahead for the inevitable will save not just your sanity, but also your company. This incubator program will help provide your business with the mentorship, networking to do so. It will provide your business with business development planning and an opportunity for capital as well. Building a strong and resilient Caribbean demands the equal involvement of women and men, but more remains to be done to push the frontier to equal opportunity. This program seeks to do this by prioritizing women entrepreneurs and green job creation for women. You see, we want our business to thrive and not just survive within these harsh economic and environmental constraints. Participating in this incubator program will give your business the best possible conditions to do so, not only for its survival, but for its growth and expansion. Using the incubator's networks and facilities, you can accelerate the success and development of your enterprise. So if you have only a green idea, this program will give it structure and perspective, a nudge forward, and a blueprint for your next steps. Thank you.
Thank you, Jody, for this inspiring address. A number of young entrepreneurs are now thinking through how do they begin the process to move away, or I guess move closer to a green option and opportunity. And this GGI project is well aligned to help them through this activity. I will, at this point, open up our this morning for questions and answers. And there, I know, Dr. Christine, you have been answering a few within the chat space. And I have two questions that are coming up from the Q&A portal specifically. So just a reminder, you can continue to post your questions within the chat if you're comfortable in doing so. But we also encourage you to post these questions within the Q&A portal that is available on the Zoom. So a lengthy question from Ruth Spencer, and I will not specifically identify any one person to answer, but I'm hoping collectively the panel will assist in sharing their thoughts. So Ruth Spencer's made a statement and then asked a question. So the OECS is a regional entity, and I want to know and be assured that within countries there are key contact point persons for sharing about this program to ensure effective implementation. I am concerned that the local entities in our islands, especially the grassroots community-based organizations, not recognized as key stakeholders, who should be the key beneficiaries of this program, who with their local innovations remain invisible at the national level, are not left out. What are the social safeguards in place to include their inclusion and participation? Some of the OECS has ratified the ESCAZO agreement, the first human right environmental agreement, which now will ensure new voices in decision making. So, I'm opening up our panelists to just give a thought. So the first part of the question was around, are we ensuring that, the grassroots community who are not necessarily recognized as priority key stakeholders would have the opportunity to be beneficiaries of this specific program? And secondly, what are the social safeguards in place to include their inclusion and participation? So I don't know if we could do a combination of GGGI and the OECS Commission. So Christine or Laura, do you want to take the first stab at this question with regards to inclusion and with regards to the program touching the specific elements of the lower level supporting organizations across the member states?
Yes, thank you, Kareem. I will take a stab at answering. Thank you, Ruth, for your question. I would like to say that we are happy to inform that we've made it a point to actually contract business support organizations on the ground in each of the participating OECS member countries. So we'll be working directly with a relevant organization who has the network, the officers, the capacity to actually ensure that information is disseminated across various target audiences, key stakeholders. And in addition to that, we also have the support of the national governments who have identified focal points, and thus ensuring that even through the national programs that exist, because most, if not all governments do have business development units and entrepreneurship training programs, etc. And so utilizing their networks, we will be able to reach the key stakeholders who could benefit from participating in any one of the programs that we're offering. So we're happy to say that these mechanisms are in place to give us visibility and a presence on the ground. And we'll continue having consultations. Ruth, you would have attended one of our very first consultations with the national governments earlier this year in May. And we're going to continue having consultations with even a wider range of stakeholders, other business support organizations, entrepreneurs, civil society, because we know, as I mentioned during my presentation, a lot of the green work tends to happen in the grassroots nonprofit realm. And so we're trying to actually bring that into the private sector. And so this is a key opportunity for that relationship to be established, and that channel in terms of moving from one sector to the next is something that we're looking to establish. So we are very cognizant of these concerns that you've raised, and we're going to be depending heavily, because we are based in St. Lucia, so we will be depending heavily on the local knowledge of the officers in the respective OECS member countries to let us know who are these vulnerable populations, disadvantaged populations. The program does look to encourage women entrepreneurs to participate, as well as targeting youth, as well as persons with disabilities. But we know that in Dominica, for example, there are indigenous populations that we need to take into consideration and ensure that our communication and various dissemination mechanisms are actually tailored to reach these populations. So again, these are the types of forums that we look to have, where we can get feedback from people like you, Ruth, who are on the ground and can actually let us know where we need to target to ensure that we are enabling access to all, and in particular those who have been systematically or traditionally disadvantaged. So I hope that answers your question. And if not, please let me know in the chat and I can further clarify.
Thank you, Laura, for that clarity. We have a note and a question for Jody from Annette. So he says, Jody, great presentation and experience sharing. You listed some of the challenges you encountered in setting up your business. Can you speak more to the financial aspect and influencing consumers as a female? Are there incentives that will support the greening of your business?
So question number one, what are some of the challenges that I faced? I think my business would have been further if I had that injection of capital from the start. I started off really small and humble because I was just using my salary per se to start off. So I think, well, now there are provisions made by the government, low interest loans that are available for manufacturers. But when I started off, there was none of that. So it has been a difficult journey. We're talking now where I can access these facilities, but at the beginning, I had to do it on my own. The second question was, how do I influence my consumers as a woman? Through my personal life, I think, I have to show that my business is an extension of the values that I hold for my own life. And my social media impact has been big because of that, because I think I'm genuine in that sense. And so I think that business owners should also have that relationship with their consumers where they can ask questions about your business, about your products, and that you show the value that your products would add to their life. That's it, basically.
Thank you, Judy. Clarity question here, again, either for Laura or Christine. Is this only for companies or individuals? So whether or not companies who are established can actually apply, or I suspect individuals who are thinking about developing the option of becoming an entrepreneur or registering business.
So the Incubator Program is targeting both entrepreneurs as well as business owners, but business owners who are in the very early stages of having launched their enterprise. So we're really looking at people who need the support and training to develop their business know-how and establish a sound business plan so that they can develop their idea into an actual business or further develop their startup to a more sustainable enterprise. So the Incubator Program specifically for entrepreneurs and startups in the very early stages. The Accelerator Program is geared towards enterprises that are registered, that are already established, because they've already gone through that initial early stage of development. They've established themselves somewhat, and they are actually ready to now scale and grow, but need that investment, that final push in order to break that ceiling. So that's the difference between the Incubator and the Accelerator Program. The Incubator, entrepreneurs and early stage businesses, startups, versus the Accelerator Program, that's really for established enterprises that are at that growth stage. So I hope that clarifies. Let me know if you need any additional information.
Thank you, Laura. A comment and a question from Peter Joseph. Where is the OECS, and I suspect the Competitive Business Unit, and the GGGI on the matter of research and development within the private sector? One of the quotes from a speaker referenced the contribution of MSMEs to job creation and employment. We here at the National Development Foundation, NDFD, recently hosted an activity termed Green Innovation Summit, where no other than the Honorable Jody emerged as the overall winner. Congratulations, Jody. However, what is clear is that there are ideas, products, and business models which require further research and development before launching as a commercial enterprise. What can the GGGI do in this regard? So I'm going to do two things. I would like Ricardo and Cosbert to just feed in generally, one Cosbert maybe in general about trade enhancement. How do you think this specific conversation with regards to research and development in a matter of trade within the OECS region can be supported through this overall GGI project? And on Ricardo's side, if you could speak to the R&D specific among the Competitive Business Unit and the work that we are doing to enhance. And then from the GGGI, either Laura or Christina again can just give their own perspective on that, on these two areas. Okay, so Cosmo, over to you, and then we'll take Ricardo.
Thanks, Kareem, and thanks for the question from the audience. I think it's a very relevant question and something that we at the Commission, particularly in this division, are quite mindful of and have been seeking to give this some attention in terms of some of the capacity building support that we have been providing for the private sector in general, particularly those involved in the manufacturing area per se. And this creates great opportunities, not only for finding new innovative ways in terms of production processes that are environmentally friendly, but also allows for a level of sustainability and expansion of the opportunities for these various businesses in the growth stages. When we speak about research and development, it can also span beyond the level of the immediate product, but also doing research in relation to taste and desires in other markets, not only within the OECS, but the wider CARICOM region as well, and making a determination as to how best we can tap into those markets and allow participants in this Incubator and Accelerator Program to make strategic linkages with other potential business partners in the other countries. I envision that as this particular project gets rolled out and they work with stakeholders in the various countries, they'll be able to identify linkages in terms of developing value chain for some of the production elements that happen in one country versus other elements that happen in another country, where we may be able to merge these initiatives together to develop sustainable value chain and logistical arrangements so that we can in turn start or increase the level of trade within the region and to ensure that our citizens have access to innovative, life-saving in some instances type of products, that would help to enhance the overall well-being of the OECS region. So we're not only looking at this from a trade and business perspective, but this has opportunities for enhancing the environment, or overall health and well-being of the OECS citizenry. So I think this project has excellent opportunities, and research and development is one key area that I think we can focus on, not only within the remits of this project, but other initiatives that we're doing to support the private sector.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Cosbert, for that. On the issue of research, development, and innovation, this is one of the areas where the CBU believes that work needs to be done, and we are certainly going to be working with our member states in terms of strengthening the enabling environment for business, for MSMEs, and for entrepreneurship. Because there's a link between innovation and entrepreneurship. An entrepreneur takes risks in a business venture, and innovation is the end product of research and development, where there is a discovery of an opportunity and one is pursuing the exploitation of that opportunity. The risk is that when you undertake a research and development, you're never always sure that the money that you spend in that R&D is going to lead to something that you can monetize. And so in the region, studies have indicated that the level of research and development and innovation is not where it should be compared to other regions and other developing countries. Even at the firm level, either because of lack of resources, lack of finance, and in the ecosystem for innovation and research and development is not well developed. So this is one of the areas we believe at CBU where we can work with our member states to develop the necessary policies. And this is one area where the CBU is seeking to do a lot more work in terms of policy advocacy and to strengthening the policy frameworks on different issues, including MSMEs, which we have started, but later on innovation and R&D. And to work with the member states and development partners to mobilize resources, because it will take resources in terms of building up national innovation systems, because you need to have key players, research institutions, the academic institutions, resources need to be provided. The IP legislation needs to be placed, incentives need to be provided. We need to foster collaboration, cooperation, and sharing of information, so that you create an environment and a framework where innovation is fostered and promoted, it is rewarded, it is incentivized. Even in our education system at schools, you need to teach innovation and create the culture for innovation. So In this program, GGGI and maybe Laura or Kristen can comment on that. Hopefully, and other programs that CBU is also running, because we are also running a similar incubation acceleration program with support from Caribbean Export, where we're looking at ICT-based or ICT-enabled firms. The goal is to look for firms and startups that have a certain innovative element to it as well. So that again is to encourage them to that idea of innovation. So certainly for CBU and I guess is GGGI, it is very important for us to develop that innovation, because as I said, there's a link between innovation and entrepreneurship, and the center of that is R&D. And so we are going to be doing some work to strengthen the ecosystem and the firms on the ground on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ricardo. Laura or Kristen, any one of you just want to take a stab at this to share thoughts? Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Kareem. I can add to that. I think what Cosbert said and Ricardo said is right on. Ricardo was just mentioning the entrepreneurial ecosystem, which of course is one of the components of our project. So we'll be looking at that. I would also say that we have been looking at other things that need support in the sphere of green entrepreneurship. So this project supports some of those, but it may not support others. So one of the things that we've actually talked about internally is things like this, like R&D, that, you know, if a firm needs their product tested or something like that, it's not always so easy to do that in this region. Or sometimes there might be some kind of shared infrastructure that is needed in a specific area. And how can we go about supporting that? So this project is not planning to do that, but we're looking at how we might be able to build upon this work and put together other projects in the future that will be able to support that a bit better. However, I would say that in terms of this project that we're launching today and the Incubator and Accelerator Program that Laura outlined earlier, I think that if you are an existing company and you need some resources to support R&D, that this program could definitely support that, because as we mentioned, we have grants of $10,000 US available through the Incubator Program. We have no interest loans in amounts of up to $50,000 US for the Accelerator Program. And so that grant money could potentially go to pay for R&D activities that businesses need. So we hope to be able to perhaps support some of that through this program, and also engage in a broader discussion of how we can support further development of access to R&D needs in the long term.
Thank you, Christine. There are a few more questions coming in. I am also looking at the time, and I know we are well over our assigned agenda timeline, but we are going to take maybe the next 5 to 10 minutes to close up on our Q&A session before we move into the last two items on our agenda, which is in essence the launch of the program and positive statements by our partners from GGGI. So I will select another question here and or statement. So Jody, there is a comment on a few questions for you. So Jody, thanks for your contribution. Could you comment on the challenge of maintaining a sustainable green business, particularly during the COVID-19 pandemic, and how are you managing to overcome those challenges? I imagine your supply chain and procurement have been heavily impacted.
So I think Mr. James in his presentation spoke to it in terms of innovation, and always having that mindset that, like I said in my speech, that sometimes you have to look at failures sometimes as a stepping stone to create something new. So that's how I went about this whole COVID situation. I found innovative ways to distribute to my customers. Even at the grocery stores, there was a WhatsApp number you could call and ask for the product. So I made sure I told my customers that there is that option available, and just finding different ways to circumvent that whole situation and still get my product out there. It has been difficult, yes, but I still didn't lose hope. So I've trained my mind, like I said, to see that these things will happen, natural disasters will happen. And so it's on the onus is on us now to make sure that our business or infrastructure and our business plans are resilient, that we have contingency plans, that we have risk management plans as part of our business. So these things will happen, but you just have to make sure that your bounceability game is on.
And if I can just keep you there for one last point, just a clarification question, sorry. So Dawn was asking, was there an element of research involved in development of your business? And if so, just could you explain quickly your process?
Definitely, and research is not just at inception. I mean, I think I've done even more research now that the business is more established now than that at its inception. So I think it should be an ongoing process. A business is not static, it's definitely dynamic. And to make improvements on your business, you have to be researching and you have to keep developing your products and your business strategy and plans as well.
Thank you, Jody. Gloria Hamilton. So in order to facilitate the development and opportunities of green business within the 6 OECS member countries, individual governments need to commit and to take the necessary actions required to enhance environmental conditions for a greener environment and business, such as the ban of imported harmful chemical products, example, Roundup, Touchdown, etc., that is not only detrimental to the environment, but our health. What powers does this organization have in engaging with the various government departments to make legislative changes in an attempt to improve environment conditions within the region to enhance green business? So Christine, I know we had an offline conversation, if you don't mind sharing the perspective of GGGI on this. Thank you.
Sure, Kareem. Well, I can answer that question from GGI's perspective, but there may be an answer from OECS as well. So if anyone else would like to add to that. So from GGI's perspective, I mean, obviously we don't have the power to legislate for countries because that's the responsibility of the government. But as I mentioned earlier, GGI is involved in several other projects that relate to creating an enabling environment or encouraging green growth. So we aren't working on the chemical side so much, but we worked last year, for example, we had a project with the NDC partnership, and also the OECS Commission was a big part of that, looking at NDCs, which are nationally determined contributions, which are each country's contribution to the Paris Agreement. So that project involved helping countries revise their contributions to the Paris Agreement. So mainly that related to reduction of emissions and planning for how you reach those targets. We're doing another project right now relating to supporting the energy transition, which is focused on the regulatory environment, which is one of the barriers that is basically standing in the way of additional investment and implementation of renewable energy in the region. So we're going to be working closely with the St. Lucia regulator, NERC, in order to put those regulations in place to help facilitate that transition. And we're also working in a number of areas. I mentioned we have some bilateral projects with the OECS member countries. Those are mainly related to climate finance, but we do work in those areas. That's actually the main type of work that our organization normally does, because we're generally embedded in country governments. Our model here in the Caribbean is a little bit different because we're working with OECS, but we work directly with country governments to encourage passing of those legislative instruments that will help improve the environment. But I will also add that I think that's also everyone's responsibility. I think most people on this call probably are citizens of OECS countries, and your governments, work for you. So if you think they should change something, then please, you should tell them that because they're the ones that hold that power. But we're trying to help encourage that, of course, at GGGI. So Kareem, I don't know if you and your colleagues want to add anything from the OECS side, because I know the OECS Commission is also doing quite a bit in that area, particularly around the St. George's Declaration, the Escazú Agreement, and some of the other regional environmental frameworks.
Yeah, thank you, Christine. Cosbert or Ricardo, any thoughts in general around the idea of ensuring, I guess, consultation within our government space and what it is that we are doing from a sustainable level to ensure that we are also protecting the environment whilst we are pushing towards a green climate and a green entrepreneurship area space?
Yeah, sure, no problem, Kareem. I can speak in regards to the trade aspects of this particular question. And I think at the OECS level, part and parcel of our role and responsibility is coordination amongst the various member states. So we do have a series of mechanisms and frameworks geared towards coordination. And as I think a lot of people know, but one of the major objectives of the OECS region is to have a sort of single domestic space for the hassle-free movement of goods and people throughout the region. In order to do this, we have to develop a harmonized border management framework or system, whereby what happens in Dominica essentially replicated in St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, Grenada, and so forth. So in terms of the whole aspect of a coordinated approach to looking at prohibitions or restrictions on some of the materials and products that we import into our country, this is a critical area for coordination, because it means now that each individual country becomes a border entry point for the entire region. So issues of concern to Dominica, to St. Lucia, now becomes the concerns of the wider region. And we do have coordination mechanisms looking at developing a OECS list of restricted items, prohibitive items, that collectively each border agency would now have access to this information and take it into consideration when applying the necessary risk management protocols at their respective ports of entry. So if St. Lucia would have identified a particular type of pesticide or product as something of grave concern in relation to the environment, and this is brought to that regional coordination mechanism, and an agreement is made that it's been put on a list, then it means now that such products, when being imported into the rest of the OECS countries, would now take the necessary actions to prevent entry or whatever measures needs to be in place to limit or prevent entry of these type of goods into the country. So, and these are principles and policies that have already been adopted at the level of our Economic Affairs Council. So we have that mechanism that allows for that level of coordination and development of these harmonized protocols. So I think as we continue to flesh them out, and I think as Christine said, this is where you as the stakeholders, it's very critical that you bring this type of information to the relevant agencies so that we can take this into discussion at the regional level and make the appropriate decisions to allow us to protect the sanctity of the OECS region.
Thank you so much, Cosmo. So as I did indicate, I'm just going to take one more question, and what we will do, we will share the respective emails of the individuals who would be able to respond, quite clearly to your post this panel conversation today and post this launch. So if your questions are not answered today and at this point, as I said, we are going to provide the communication lines through email and or numbers so that you will be able to get clarification questions. And I'm sure, Laura, there is a period of clarification required through the application process. So, once that is established, Laura will come on in line to give a little bit more information, if you may, on how you can get access to the application forms and how you can get, clarification questions cleared up. And, so just, it's very interesting to see the number of questions that are coming in, indicating the interest of this Greenpreneurs program. And that is really sending a comfortable and an exciting, feeling throughout our organizations, both through the GGI and the OECS Commission. So, in essence, we are excited about moving the process forward. So I suspect what we will see happening is that oversubscribed the application process, which brings to bear the need to obviously expand programs such as these across the regional space. So the last question, and Judy, that question is for you. One of the attendees are asking whether or not she could choose you as a mentor to move forward with her business development plans.
Sure, I have no problems with that at all. That's fine.
Wonderful. So, here you have it, guys. Thank you so much for opening up and asking, critical questions that are enabling the conversation to flesh out the overall program here. As I said, this is not the end of the opportunity to seek clarification and to bring your points forward and to bring concerns, challenges that you think may hinder the overall implementation of this program across your member states. There were consultations, there will be ongoing consultative opportunities. Whilst the formal consultative process may be completed, you do have an opportunity, as I said, to seek clarification within your member states, possibly through your business support organizations, possibly through your various ministries of trade, entrepreneurship, small business, development, and have them contact us if you're unable or you feel scared to contact us directly. We'd be obviously happy to share these clarification points and share dialogue with you as required. So at this point, I am going to welcome back Laura to the podium to officially launch the Greenpreneurs Program. So Laura, over to you.
Thank you very much, Kareem. I will share my screen. So without further ado, please join me with a round of applause in officially launching the Eastern Caribbean Green Entrepreneurship Initiative. Yes. Unfortunately, we don't have ribbons to cut as if in person, but I think this will do for today. So as we launch this initiative today, we are also launching the call for applications for Eastern Caribbean greenpreneurs who would like to participate in our Incubator Program. So today, June 27th to August 26th, you have 30 days to apply to participate in this training program. And this is, again, for early stage green entrepreneurs and startups that are really looking to develop that idea, develop that business so that it can grow into something more sustainable and actually become a reality for those starting off with simply an idea. Just a quick recap for those of you who may have missed my presentation earlier. The Incubator Program, which will be kicking off in October, will consist of 12 weeks of virtual training where you will be doing training modules based on the Lean Canvas methodology, which will be delivered via weekly webinars. You will have assignments, you will have one-on-one coaching, as well as a mentor to help guide you through the program length, which is from October to January 2022. You will also have the opportunity to participate in networking events, and all of this will culminate in a pitch competition where you will present your business plan and have an opportunity to secure up to $10,000 US in seed funding. So applications are now open. We have shared the incubator application form in the chat, as well as the guidelines so that you can review the eligibility criteria. And another quick recap. In terms of the eligibility criteria, you need to ensure that your idea or your startup has a green focus, that you intend to be for profit, that you are one of our participating OECS member countries where the business will be based, and that you are also, as the lead applicant, a citizen of one of the participating OACS member countries, and that you are over the age of 18. The OACS member countries that are participating are Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Once again, once we receive your applications, it will be reviewed by a selection committee where we will be scoring you based on a predetermined assessment criteria. Again, the guidelines will give you more information on what this is. And the final group of the highest scoring applicants will then be selected for the program. Both successful and unsuccessful applicants will be notified by the end of September. And for those of you who are successful, we will be having an orientation session before kicking off the actual training program, as I said, in October. And please take note of the website, which is now up and running so that you can apply directly through the forms. In case you didn't see it in the chat. Also, a key component of the Incubator Program is our mentorship. Again, recognizing that the success of our entrepreneurs is actually highly dependent on having that support system of guidance and experience from professionals who have a track record of actually being able to make ideas become a reality. And so we are opening up our call for applications for mentors. So if you are interested and passionate about taking on that leadership role and sharing your ideas and experience with green entrepreneurs, then we highly encourage you to apply. We need your support because having a pool of dedicated professionals who are driven, enthusiastic, passionate, will help provide even greater resources for that entrepreneurial ecosystem that we talk about, where we're looking to continue fostering and supporting entrepreneurs beyond the life of this program. So again, you have a 30-day window to actually apply, submit your application. We are looking for mentors who are willing to volunteer. So that's a key one, who can dedicate some time to having direct contact with their mentees, who are willing to facilitate networking opportunities and also access to resources that mentees might not necessarily be able to have on their own, and also just sharing your professional experience and knowledge. We will be selecting mentors based on alignment with the needs of the mentees. So ensuring that they are within the same sector or that there is experience in the same field, as well as a general interest in the same areas that overlap with the focus of the entrepreneur. And once again, applications are now available. So please check out this web link and you can apply directly. The links for the Incubator Program as well as the Mentorship Program are available in the chat, as well as links to the guidelines, which will give you further information on eligibility criteria, the process, details on the program structure, everything that you need to know to determine whether or not you are best fit for either one of these programs. So once again, thank you all for your patience and staying connected with us throughout this launch event. As Kareem indicated, we have gone way over our intended time, but we hope that you have found the information that we've shared useful and that you are all keen to participate or support in some way. And as we said, if there's another way in which you wish to be a part of this initiative, you can join our mailing list and let us know and connect with us that way. So once again, we are officially launched. Thank you very much. And I will hand back over to Kareem.
Thank you, Laura. And I'm going to try to hold this under 12 noon. So Christine, I'm going to invite you quickly to offer us closing remarks for today's launch. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kareem, and thank you so much for everyone who's stayed on way past the planned end time. So I just wanted to thank everyone again for attending today's event, for your interest in the program, for the virtual congratulations and confetti that I saw being thrown in the chat there when we launched the event. Very, very great to hear your support, to see all your questions. Thank you for the questions. I just wanted to apologize for the technical issues on the videos. I think we put this in the chat, but if you didn't see it, we will be sharing those videos. I know they may have been difficult to hear, so we'll be sharing those so that you can listen to those on your own time. We also will be sharing the links via email. We have everyone's email address when you registered for the event, so we'll be sending that to you. And I just wanted to reiterate, I know there were a couple of questions in the Q&A about different types of businesses and would those be eligible. And I just want to emphasize that what is a green business is really up to you. As long as you can explain to us how your business is contributing to addressing an environmental issue, then we will certainly consider it. So looking to you to make that connection. I also want to thank our partners. I'd like to commend the OECS Commission for their hard work in support of this event and my terrific team at GGGI who have worked tirelessly to develop this program. I'd also like to extend a big thank you to Jody for her great presentation today, which I think really emphasized why we need green businesses today more than ever, and for sharing some of her experience as a green entrepreneur. Again, I hope we've answered most of your questions today. If not, please don't hesitate to contact us. And I hope I will see many of you again, either in our Incubator Program as a mentor, or in our Accelerator Program, or as part of one of the other events that we'll have as part of this program going forward. So thank you again, and back to you, Kareem.
Thank you, Christine. Very clear and precise. And to all our participants, you've stayed well over your scheduled time with us today. And so just expressing sincere thanks to all who were part of this production, our entire team at the OECS Commission, to include our competitive business unit, to include, by extension, the Economic Affairs and Regional Integration Department, and to include, of course, Christine and her team with and through the GGI, and of course, Jody, for your exceptional work with your presentation today. I think the journey continues well beyond this launch activity, and we do look forward to all your questions and all your comments. As I said, the consultative process is ongoing. We do want to hear from you. We do want to clarify any comments or questions that you have that will help you to make a determination on whether or not you are qualified, whether or not you can be qualified to participate in this Greenpreneurs project and program. So with that, good afternoon and have a wonderful day all. Thank you.